Dude, I'm just gonna start recording.
Yep.
And
Beautiful.
we're gonna rock and roll.
Right on.
And yeah, let me speak. Beautiful. It's how I like it. So Marcus, this is our first time meeting face to face, and
Yep.
I don't have any sponsors on my show. I don't have any fucking music in the beginning. I don't have any shit going. I'm not going to interrupt you and talk to you about my my mattress or my drink or I'm making fun of all the shows I do where like I'm like leaning into the interview and then all of a sudden goes, let's talk about my protein shake.
Right. Yeah.
And I listen, I got a lot of friends who have big shows and they got sponsors. It's how they take care of their family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I get it. And I get it, but I fucking hate it.
Yeah. It kills the vibe. All of a
It
sudden
does.
you got something going and then fucking.
Right. And
Yep.
so I'm not going to do that. The only interruptions will be me interrupting you and trying to promote my products and services and tell everyone not to train with you, but they need to train with you and not to. But listen, we've been internet buddies for some time.
Yeah.
I've heard your name, for years. And there was a post you made recently, and I promised myself I would have it ready, and I didn't to do that because I'm fucking dealing with a leak outside my house, as I told you. And so hang on a second, I'm gonna pull it up because it's do you remember what it was? It was something where I finally said to you, let's get you on the show.
Oh yeah. Well, it was just a post basically promoting the fact that I like being on podcasts and and I'm a good guest to have.
Shameless.
Shameless plug.
You actually sent me a nude photo and said, can you be on your show?
Thanks for not laughing, by the way, at that.
Well, I had to have my glasses on and get close.
That's okay. I can live with that.
But there was also something you started to do recently. Well, first off, let's do this. My audience is mostly law enforcement, military, martial artists, functional fitness freaks and shit like that. Why don't you do your 1 minute elevator speech of who you are?
All right. I am Marcus Torgerson from Canada, originally Vancouver, BC, Canada. I'm over 50, done martial arts since 1979. Been involved in the fitness industry professionally since 1989. And I've been doing Krav Maga, which is what I've been doing for the last 15 something years. And I travel around the world certifying people how to become instructors. There you go.
Okay, man. Thanks for being on the show. See ya.
Thanks. Take care. Have good luck with the leak.
Yeah. There was, I want to jump right in here with something different. You post more about mental health, more about social connection, more about being a good fucking human than you do about Krav Maga, than you do about, hey, let me teach you how to fight. Yeah. That's interesting because you're not using your audience and your platform to sell your service. It's more about I'm trying to help heal the world. What's going on with that? Not that that's a bad thing, but it's fascinating.
Well, because I'm a broken person, I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I grew up shitty, much like a lot of other people do. My story is no different than anybody else's. So if I can sit there and say, hey, I woke up today and I didn't want to wake up, but I'm still going to keep going. And there's somebody for some reason that's tuning in and they're on their last fucking limb. That's it. They're going to fucking swing from a rope. And for whatever reason, it deviates them for just that day. Then how can I not fucking do it? And I get enough messages. I don't get a lot, but I get enough messages, whether they're true or not. I don't know. But hey, I didn't kill myself because of what you said. Well, that's good enough for me. Wow. And why the fuck do I need to promote myself on? I know what I do for a living. Okay. I don't need to sit there. If you want to hire me, fuck, I'm on the internet. It's easy to find me. But what I need to do is to sit there and have more, you know how they say hope is not a course of action, and I get it, I understand it, but I'm a little bit different on that. I believe hope is a course of action, because when you have nothing left, hope is the one thing keeping you from fucking sucking on a gun. So if I can give a little bit of hope, then Tony, fuck, why shouldn't I?
Okay. Obviously that fired you up and you're really passionate about that. And I get that, you know, everyone's reality is it's unique to them. You know, in 1980, I said in my first ever magazine interview for Black Belt Magazine, 1980, I said there should be as many self-defense systems as there are people willing to learn self-defense. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like this grandiose idea, like what does that even fucking mean? Because I'm teaching you Taekwondo, I'm teaching you boxing, I'm teaching you Kempo, I'm teaching you. And I was going, well, everyone has their own body type, even if they're generalized as ectomorph, mesomorph, et cetera.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own psychology. Everyone is brought up differently. And even though I can say, this is the law, these are the rules, this is the rules of engagement, this is what your state says you can do, all of that is interpreted by whatever social conditioning you experienced. You know, you grew up and you were abused by your stepmother or your stepfather. That's going to change how you address violence. If you were taught by your dad, don't take shit, you fucking hit this guy right away, that's going to change how you handle violence. And so, you know, I was very cognizant of that. And so I find that interesting, you know, just how because of what you've gone through and because you openly go, look, I'm broken. And I just want to say something, you know, about that to you and to other people who might really resonate with that message. You know, they say, whoever they are, that when a bone is broken and heals, it heals stronger.
Right.
You know, and so if you can heal yourself through hope or inspiration or, and listen, I was just talking today in a class I was teaching today, like I can't remember the last day I wasn't in pain. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've had pain that brings me to tears. I have, you know, a few years ago, I had a neck injury and stenosis and a bunch of shit where I couldn't even walk 100 yards. Yeah. And as a lifelong athlete, I'd go out for a walk by myself, start walking, and the pain would get so bad I'd have to squat it would floss the nerves enough that I could stand up. But I'd be on the ground with as a guy who's got a pretty high threshold for pain with fucking tears in my eyes. Mm-hmm. And also Marcus thinking, I understand why people stop doing shit and do what you were alluding to. Because I can't even imagine, like, is this going to be my life for the next 20, 30, 40 years? Fuck that shit. Yeah. And I agree with you there. This is like a long-winded full circle. I agree with you that, like, one of my friends, Eric Goodman, who created foundation training. I don't know if you ever tried it or heard about that.
No, I haven't yet.
If you've got back issues, check out foundation training, Eric Goodman, and I'll turn you on to him. He's become a good friend of mine. But, you know, 3 years ago, when all this shit started happening, I started talking to him, but I didn't listen to him because it was like, when you're in pain, whether it's emotional or physical, and you're going around, you want light switches. Mm-hmm. You want somebody, here's a pill, here's an exercise. Yeah. You know, I want it done right away. And I finally started doing his work, and I started getting space in my spine and release to the point where this morning I went out for a brisk walk, ended it with a light run. 3 years ago, I couldn't fucking walk 100 yards. Yeah. Nobody really knew that because it's not, you know, it's Instagram. I'm not posting here's a picture of me crying. I can't walk. But I say this, and you kind of inspired this in what you said. He said to me, I went and saw him. I couldn't even bridge. I didn't even have the strength to bridge. I couldn't even run. And I said to him, I said, dude, I don't even think I could defend myself anymore. He said, I think you could. I said, I can't run up the stairs. I can't fucking run. If in my mind, choosing safety was fucking running right now, I can't fucking run. And I can't even bridge my hips anymore if I was on the ground.
Yeah.
And he does some tests on me. And he says, I need you to do these exercises. You're going to do them? I says, I don't think you need surgery. I think we can do this. And I said to him, well, this is how fucking stupid I am. Like athletes our age. We didn't, guys listening to this, you motherfuckers, we didn't grow up with resistance bands and fucking foam rollers. You know, I'm like 9 years old. How old are you?
So 51, 52, something like that.
So when you get up this old, you don't even remember. You don't even want to say it. I turned 60. So I turned 60 in May. And so I say to him, this is like about a year ago. I say, dude, if this works, like how long do I have to do it for? And whatever. He says, if this works, you'll have to do it the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, that's not what you want to hear when you're
no.
I want it to be done.
Yeah.
You know, we forget we're aging athletes and aging humans, and it gets shorter.
Fuck yeah, it does.
So let me ask you this. How is I don't know, like, you're not sure if you're 50, 51, 52. Is it because you don't like getting older? You genuinely don't?
I generally don't care about, I don't care about the number, but also my brain's a bit scrambled, to be honest with you. So with in the last couple of years, I've been doing a little more investigation on some TBI and what have you, just because I didn't even know that was a fucking thing. And the first thing the guy asked me is, well, how many concussions have you had? I'm like, fuck, I have no idea. What the fuck you asking me? He goes, well, that's not really the right answer. I'm like, well, just fucking tell me how to fix it, because I'm blacking out and forgetting things. So when the number comes in, I just remember I was born in 1969. So whatever that is and I'm in March. Yeah, 51. Yeah. So, it's but I got no complaints in that way, because there's guys that didn't make it to 51. And I know that's a little fucking Anthony Robbins, but it's that kind of shit that keeps me, No,
dude. I dig the whole hope thing. I think when people say that, and we've got, mutual friends in the tactile community, like hope is not a plan type thing. What they're talking about is, in the moment you need to fight for your life, hope is not a plan.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That the cavalry is not going to rush in. And if they do, they should be pulling you off the bad guy, going, okay, this is now excessive force. You made your point. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think, when you hear that and you understand that, it's meant to be a call to arms, a call to, let's get our shit together. Let's train, let's fucking work out, because in the moment that you find yourself in the pit with the serial killer going, put the lotion on the body.
Yeah.
Hope is not a plan. It's like, you fucked up. Gone. Yeah. And so, no, I dig that, man. And, it's funny, you say that, because when I had my neck injury, and I went for a CAT scan, the doctor said to me, have you ever been hit in the head? And it was like the same sort of thing. I was like I started laughing. He's going, what's so funny? I go, like for the last 30 years, that's what I do. I said to my pay people, I said, people punch me I'm losing my brain. People pay me to punch them in the face, and I let them punch me back.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? I teach self-defense. All right. So yeah. Okay. Let's switch from the mental health side. Obviously, subject near and dear to you, and I dig and I appreciate and I like your messaging online. Have you studied any other arts before Krav, or was that your first?
Yeah. No, I've been doing martial arts since I was 10. So started with Kung Fu, Like most people, it's either Kung Fu, karate, or Taekwondo. Did that for a bunch of years. Did that Jet Li stuff, Wushu for a bunch of, in my mid-teens. And then in my late 20s, I did Wei Chi Ru, an Okinawan system, very traditional. That was a lot of fun. And then took a little bit of a break. And then went into Krav Maga. But that being said, you know, it's just much like you and I'm sure a lot of other people who spent their whole life in the martial arts environment. You know, you eat, sleep, drink it, deal with the bullshit. And so I'm always keeping my eyes open towards martial arts because I think it's, I don't know, life's a lot better with it than without it, even with all the bullshit that comes with it.
Yeah, which is interesting because one of my questions here is if you could change one thing about the industry, what would it be?
Fuck, get rid of all the political bullshit that happens.
Right.
Get rid of it. Just fucking be done with it. But now if we did it in martial arts, then we'd be able to do it for the rest of the fucking world too. Right? Get rid of the egos and all the bullshit. Because the end user is supposed to be the one that matters. Right?
100%.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and I'm also the end user. As an instructor, I'm still the end user. So I'm supposed to be fucking caring about myself, and I'm supposed to be caring about my friend Tony and his family and teaching them. Where the fuck does ego and politics come in? I mean, I realize human nature being the way it is, but there's no place. So get rid of it.
But that is the problem. If I said to you, you know, how do you fix DC? You know, how do you fix politics? How do you fix? At the end of the day, it's how do you get rid of? How do you eliminate douchebags? How do you eliminate corrupt motherfuckers?
Yeah.
You know, when you look at some of the shit that goes on in the martial arts world, same stuff that goes on with hair salons, with politicians. The problem is people.
Yeah.
It's not martial arts, it's people.
Nope. Yeah.
You know,
assholes are assholes, douchebags are douchebags. They're everywhere.
So,
and the beautiful part is it doesn't matter boy or girl, man or woman. Like a douchebag or an asshole is non-binary, non-gender specific. They're just fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No more assholes. My wife has a t-shirt that says, "Don't be an asshole." And she wears it.
Your wife is the fucking best. Her posts that she does online, I swear to God.
You follow her. She's like, she's not ready for prime time, and you better not. She has zero filter. She got a shirt yesterday. Then she went out to fucking pick up dinner with it. It says, "Fuck you, you fucking fucker." Like on the shirt. I'm like, oh, and it's funny because, you know, when I came out with my No Fear seminar, you know, my fuck fear acronym, right?
Yeah.
And to control it, know it. So when I was doing my first public No Fear, KNOW fear, it was in New York City several years ago.
Jesus.
So we had, you know, No Fear has been around for a long, long time, but I hadn't branded it as No Fear and doing it as a seminar. So we did this, and I said, let's print some No Fear t-shirts. And it was like, let's print some Fuck Fear t-shirts. And I was like, I swear a lot, obviously, but I was like, we can't print Fuck Fear shirts and have them on a table. And she's like, why the fuck not? I said, like, because you don't know who's going to show up, and you gotta. And she said, and she's like, don't be a pussy, just print them. And I'm like, oh fuck. So I print a bunch of Fuck Fear and a bunch of No Fear, and the Fuck Fear sold out.
Yeah.
And I was earnestly surprised, and there must be as raw and as gritty as I can be. I must also be a prude at a certain level.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, no, I don't know about a prude, but I mean, you're cognizant of the fact that people get offended, and maybe not even offended, but they're sensitive about certain things, right? I mean, as much of as a straight shooter as you are, you're empathetic to your environment at all times. You wouldn't be the instructor you are without being empathetic. So I'm not surprised that you had to say that, but I'm happy that your wife was like, fuck that, do it. Because because there's the realm of reality right there. And say what you want. I don't give a shit if anybody likes your wife or not. Fuck them. Because her honesty, and she just owns it. Look, this is me.
Right.
I don't give a shit if you like it. Imagine if everybody was like that. Holy
Yeah.
shit, that'd be fantastic.
See, we're gonna end up doing like a show about her. But the other morning, she says something so outrageous. We're lying in bed, just waking up. She shows me a picture of something, and she says something, and I go like this. I literally go like this. I go, "You have no idea how much it bothers me when I hear you talk like that." And she goes, "That's just my nature." And she just knows, like, this is who I am, you know.
Yeah.
And I do get a ton of people messaging me saying, "I love your wife. I love your wife. She's great. She's great." And so I appreciate that. I've joked she should have her own reality TV show, but it would get canceled. I don't know who would.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd have to go on a separate network.
Yeah.
You guys would have to create your own network.
Yeah. And she's pretty just some of the stuff. But you know, what's funny when you just said, hey, you know, just the empathy that I have made me question that, but you're glad that I listened to Jesse and I went with it. I read a post yesterday, one of the sites that I follow, about, I think it was attributed to Ogilvy, the guy. He's a famous business tycoon from back in the day, and he said something to the effect of, consumers aren't stupid, they're your wife. Right? Like, that was the quote. It's like so like marketing people go like, hey, the consumer's pretty dumb, we could pass that, we could like, no, the consumer is your wife, moron. I mean, it's really, you know, and it just made me think, like, when I go, I'm not printing this, and if we think like Jesse has like a 10th degree black belt in online shopping, when we're rebuilding our platforms and stuff like that, I go, what do you think about this? She goes, I fucking hate this. This takes too long. This is, you got to think out of the box like that, man.
Oh yeah. 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 And go with the subject matter experts at hand.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Funny. Okay. What drives you? I'm trying to talk about martial arts and self-defense with you, but I'm having a lot of fun with other shit. On the tactical side,
yeah,
shooting hand to hand, what drives you to keep training? If you are like the training I do is more maintenance. I'm not out there. I'm past, in terms of, forget COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
Before that, I'm so busy that I can't shoot with all the people that I would like to do with. I can't study jujitsu. I can't.
Yeah.
So all the stuff that the 15-year-old Tony that wanted to be the next Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
That part of my brain is still there, where I'm like, oh, look at this, look at that. That won't work. Oh, that's cool. That's, you know, it's still there. But then I work 8 days a week.
Yep. 25 hours a day.
Where are you at with personal development, professional development, and shit like that?
Well, so shooting, because of where we grew up, in our country that we grew up, it's not in our culture to be a part of the fight, right? So I mostly just do the firearms training that I do, just because it's a weakness for me, and because of the people that I deal with, I need to be able to speak their language and make them be able to sit there and not come in and be like, okay, so you put the finger in the trigger and you sound like a fucking idiot. So my credibility with regards to firearms is important to me, just so that I can speak the same language, which is why I associate with a mutual friend of ours, Rick Hogg. You know, there's a lot of people that I'm blessed to be around that will teach me, so I don't look like an idiot. Knives, stuff like that. You know, I'm not really much of a knife person, because at the end of the day, you just fucking stab somebody and it's a done deal. And I know there's going to be people who fucking like, you're an idiot, but that's just where I come from. I've seen knife attacks and what they look like, and they don't look like whatever fucking moves I'm doing. But mostly what I'm working on is ironically stuff that makes me understand why I act the way I do when it comes to violence. I understand that, and again, I'm a neophyte when it comes to the psychology of and physiological stuff that happens with violence. I just know I'm the end user of violence. I know how I reacted myself, and I know when I wasn't such a nice person, how other people reacted to when I did violence to them. So that's mostly just trying to understand all that with the knowledge that I can't retain a lot of information. Like, I'll watch you speak and I'll have to fucking pause it, go back and listen to it about 4 times, because I catch about 10, like 1% of it. But that's where I don't have an interest in, very much like you. I get little snippets of things and that's cool. I look at it, but my passion is understanding why we react the way we do to violence, so that I can help my people, whoever I interact with. Here's some cool moves that you can do. Now, here's what happens when that all falls to shit. And here's what you can do that you have control over to some degree. So that's where my head is mostly at, is just understanding violence, why it does it, and trying to do it with a fucking handicap, with not understanding. Like, you use stuff, I make a joke, and now I'm saying it to your face so that everybody's like, well, why didn't you say it's Tony? I say, Tony Blair's a smart motherfucker, and he'll use fucking $30 words. And I'm just trying to figure out how to take that $30 word and put it into a fucking loony. You know what I mean? And that's my goal. End goal is to understand something and explain it simply. So there you go. I don't know if I answered the question, but that's where I'm at with when it comes to that.
You also called me like an arrogant, fucking pedantic.
What the fuck is a pedantic? Like, right? What is that?
Right? I said that word on purpose.
Okay, good.
It's not even a word. No, it is.
Okay.
No, it is a word. But no, I actually make a joke about that. Because of the scope and depth of my research, you know, I get fascinated by the myelinization of neurons, and I had to figure out how to spell myelinization, right? And then but I also had to explain to people that it's like wrapping electrical tape around a wire, because the thicker the myelin, the better the signal speed is. Right. When the brain says fucking do that. Right. So I've made this joke, and funny what you tell your clients, hey, Tony Blauer uses $30 word, they're actually much more expensive, but but that's the Canadian currency and all that shit. Yeah. To the States now. So I've been doing this since the 80s, where I say something that you don't understand to make you go, what? And then I've always made this joke. Then I say, Ernie and Bert said, I go high level to make somebody go, this guy's really smart. Maybe I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. And then when I do my trainer courses, I go, this is how I get somebody's attention. But I always have 2 definitions. I've got the pedantic, which is a big fancy word for an instructor that wants to keep everyone confused. I'm going to make this sound really complicated.
Yeah.
And then I do the Sesame Street version. And so for everything, and I do them, and I always teach like that. I go, hey, spontaneous effective modification of your arsenal. Then other people are like, what did you just say? And then I go, you need to figure shit out really quickly.
Right.
You can't, you know, that careful you practice, you might get really good at the wrong thing is all about the neuroscience of the myelin sheath, that there is in real life no such thing as muscle memory. Muscles don't have memories the way brains have memory.
Right.
And so I tell people it's a misnomer to say muscle memory. What you have is a neural pattern that's connected to awareness.
Yeah.
If you have no awareness, you're not going to download a move or an answer if you have no awareness.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so there's a whole neuroscience that's missing from martial arts and self-defense. And people just say things, oh, if you do this a bunch of times, you'll just do this. And they're not correct. In fact, in evidence-based scenario training, which is what we call what we do, and we're looking at dash cam, body cam, helmet cam, CCTV, all this shit going, where's the evidence that this style of training is actually producing the results?
Right.
And it's not. And all of that, of course, you know, gave birth to the scenario. I couldn't say it back in the 80s when I developed like scenario-based training in an organized way, I couldn't explain it like I do now. But
Right.
but we do that, Marcus. We go like high level, and a lot of my clients are organizational level, like
Right.
like Pentagon, military, like, and I need to have this white paper level bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, in fact, we're dealing with something I can't mention the country right now because we're still in the product development, but one of the guys is getting blocked by a contrarian in his organization, where the guy's saying, you know, this finger splayed is a problem because you can get your fingers broken, and can't you do the movement, you know, with the clenched fist? And I'm like, and this guy's got a physiology degree or background, and so everyone's like looking because he's a subject matter expert in movement.
Yeah.
And I'm going, like, I want to jump through the fucking phone and strangle the guy, and going, whoa.
Yeah.
Number one, with the optics on law enforcement right now, and de-escalation is the biggest thing everywhere. I can look at you, Marcus, and I can go, hey man, I don't want any trouble. And this is body language for, I'm going to punch you in the face, or I can just do this. Everyone watching, hey, I don't want any trouble.
Yeah.
Finger splayed is universal for calm down. Let's talk about it. I'm not ready. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Number two, when an untrained person is scared of somebody in front of them, an untrained person does not go, you're scaring me. They go, you're scaring me.
Right.
They do this.
Yeah.
Somebody hiding, flinching, like cowering might do that, but that's not the same. If you look at every startled flinch picture in the world, basketball hitting somebody, baseball flying in there, broken bat, everyone's got their hands open, holding on to something.
Yeah.
And so at a physiological level, when the body's survival reflex triggers the startle flinch, the hands come up to protect the head. And then if there's time and space, it'll push away danger.
Right.
Across the sensor chain, trying to create space. And I, like you've heard me talk about this, it's an organic airbag that we all have. We know that airbags save lives. If you had a car and didn't know you didn't know if you had an airbag or not, you would want one. If you could look at the research of, you know, vehicle deaths pre and post airbag development,
you'd want one desperately.
Fuck yeah, I want an airbag.
Yeah.
So we don't realize that, like, every human has a built-in airbag, but you can affect its impact and effectiveness by being a contrarian and going, fuck that shit. I'm not going to, like, I always tell people, studying the spear system will make any martial art safer. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's organic. It spreads. It's physiology.
Right.
Right.
And there's physiology supersedes physicality. What does that mean? Whatever your go-to Krav moves are, whatever the movement is a complex motor skill that by design has to have executive function release it.
Right.
I pull out a gun, cert, training weapon, and we do gun disarms. We go, you're here like this, I'm going to parry the gun, I'm going to fucking blast him in the face. That is executive function. If I ask you, Marcus, what would you do here? What would you do here? What would you do here? You download the information, you visualize it, you download the information. What people don't understand in general is they think, okay, I got really good at this. But when you're getting mugged at an ATM or getting carjacked or getting a home invasion, like, in that moment, your executive function can be hijacked by the speed or the proximity or both of the sudden attack. Right. And people might go, oh no, like, I train a lot, I do that. That's why I always carry. That's what, and this will come full circle back to my comment about evidence-based. We have trained hunters of men, military and law enforcement, that don't pull off the moves they were taught in their academy. Yeah. And if a person whose professional career is to hunt bad guys can't make some of this shit move, why would a citizen? Yeah, regular person. Drives me up a wall. Yeah. But,
no, I'm right there with you, and because of the fact that I mostly deal with civilians, it just regular people, like normal people. At the end of the day, what's the end goal, in my opinion, is get the fuck out of there.
Right.
Like leave, like and do whatever it takes to fucking leave. And where I get frustrated is, and then this is where the ego comes in. I don't give a fuck whether you do Cream of Some Young Guy, fucking Cobra Kai, or whatever. I don't give a fuck what you do. If it's effective to your student and your student is going to be able to create an opportunity to escape as a result of it, then fucking right on, man. I don't give a fuck. It just doesn't matter. And let's just care about the end user, because they're the one, that are paying your fucking bills. They're the ones, if your student gets their ass kicked, yeah, okay, you look bad. Your student got their ass kicked. That
They
should
look
be
really
your first
bad.
fucking priority.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, drives me to drink, and I'm an alcoholic, so I try not to do that.
Right. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that. So that's why I try to stay offline, because of those exact reasons.
It's crazy. What is your, do you have any rules, speaking of offline? Like, I have really limited my exposure, especially during this last year, the political cycle, but I'm just, I'll log on once just to scan for important messages, maybe make a post every 1 or 2 days.
Mhm.
And then I can't look. I was getting in such a bad mood so quickly. And it's weird. I was listening to my buddy. I don't know if you listen to Michael Gervais Finding Mastery podcast. You should check it out. Super smart, really high level sports performance psychologist. And you'll like him because he's not like me. He doesn't use big words. He explains stuff simply. But he had a guest on this most recent podcast where the guy was talking about, was it Michael's podcast? But the guy was talking about how the dopamine hit. I'm talking solely instructing because I might be fucking up which podcast I listen to right now. But regardless, that, we get a dopamine hit when we're rewarded for something positive. But this contention was that you get an even stronger type of dopamine when it's negative.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought it was really compelling that the idea is like, you get more people are gravitate towards bad news and consuming bad news than good news.
Yep. That's but there's that old adage that we grew up in. Bad news travels faster than good news, and it's been that way. Look at the newspapers. Right. What will sell more? 12 people dead. Boy saves a cat. Well, fuck, nobody's gonna give a shit about that kid saving the cat. Of course, the negative, which is frustrating. And that's where that whole, like, trolls, like that's the word that's new in my vocabulary. I don't understand where these people come from or why they do it. And I've looked at some of the stuff on like a post, and how people will come and just say stupid shit just to say stupid shit. And again, because of the fact they know they're not going to get punched in the face, there's no negative reactions physically are going to happen. But that shit just causes me anxiety. Like, I don't need to see that shit. Fuck you. Not when I see a lot of kids. Like, I see a lot of kids that are suffering from their own conditions and their own shit that they're going through. I'd rather see a kid who's going through cancer, who's going to die, and looking at how they got some guy named Batman coming in helping him out. I'd rather see that shit than some fucking piece of shit loser shitting on my friend Tony because he wants to be a fucking idiot, like douchebag fuckhead.
Right.
Fuck. Yeah. So when it comes to being online, I come in, I do my business, and I try not to get too caught up. Like, Instagram's actually not bad because I guess my algorithm or whatever I'm looking at is relatively okay, but Facebook's a shit show. Like, I go in, throw a post up, and then I leave. I have nothing to do with that platform if possible.
I didn't do it, but I hired somebody. I just started doing Facebook ads for a couple of our products. And I realized one thing that I learned, this year is, I wish I'd gotten ready for the pandemic before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so built, 4 new websites and started doing digital shit like this. So I hired a guy who's running these ads. And because they're on my account, I get, like, when people comment, I cannot believe the fucking idiots out there who just like post on shit. And they're just, and I'm like the type of personality where, like, my guy goes like, no, you can't answer those comments. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, no, I can't not answer them. Like, this guy's a fucking moron. And it blows my mind that the world still turns. Thank God humans don't have to turn the world, because
we'd be fucked.
We'd be fucked. This is like a really negative. This is there's a lot of people who are going to unfollow us after this podcast and go, all these guys bitch. All these guys are like, they're two contentious, grumpy old men.
Well, get off my fucking lawn. No,
right. You and I need to get like 2 lawn chairs and sit together, and we'll just, and that's, what we'll do is we'll start another podcast called Fags.
Yeah.
And for former action guy.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do the podcast in rocking chairs. We'll buy rocking chairs. We'll just sit there and just fucking bitch. And what we'll do is we'll analyze fights, but we won't talk about mechanics or that. Right. Look at this fucking asshole. That guy's a douchebag. He fucking deserved that.
Yeah. You remember the two old guys in fucking the pig and the frog, and but there was 2 guys in the fucking balcony that would always shit on everybody.
In Sesame Street.
Was it Sesame Street?
I think so.
Oh fuck, those 2 old bastards. Yep,
That's all for it. That's you and me now.
Media works. We could do it. Probably, you know what? Ironically, it'd probably be one of those fucking things that ended up taking off, because we're not alone. There's a lot of people on the same fucking plane. Right.
But I don't think I've ever talked to somebody who swears a little bit more than me.
Well,
no. I used to be, people used to call me the Dennis Miller of self-defense. Remember his rants, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I remember. Dennis Miller. I always get Dennis Miller and Dennis O'Leary I combined together. But
Dennis
Miller. Yeah, I remember him. He was a political dude too, right? He got right.
Super smart. And he was a guy who I'd have to like go, what was that word? Fucking
yeah.
Like his vocabulary was just insane. Yes, crazy. What else can we hit, man? This is fun. This is fun. What's your personal training? Do you have like shit you do every day, every week?
Well, right now it's just going for walks. It's a bad headspace. My walks are the only thing that keep me going. So either I'll walk and just be present in the moment and be thankful for what the fuck I'm in. Like, I'm in Arizona, it's beautiful. And if I'm in a really bad headspace, believe it or not, I'll just pump up Jack Carr, one of Jack Carr's books in audio. And for whatever reason, that shit will just spin some kind of creativity, and I'll take a note real quick.
Nice.
But yeah, but push-ups, sit-ups, squats, like all that stuff is so cyclical in my life. If I feel good, then I'll do some shit. When I feel not so good, just having the ability to walk is been what I do.
I dig it. How long are your walks?
Anywhere from an hour to 3 or 4 hours, depending on how I'm feeling.
How much travel you've been doing these days with everything going on?
Fuck all. I've done a couple of things here in America, but I've done fuck all. And even now, allegedly, there's some stuff overseas that's supposed to happen, and I'm just not even. I'm like, yeah, well, when the plane tickets come and I get the green light, go. And then the question has been, I've thrown it out there, like, do I have to get a fucking shot? Do I, and maybe this is not the smart thing to say, but do I need a card? If so, I can access a card of some sort,
right.
Whatever it takes. I'm not big on taking it, but then, and I'll be honest with you, if my income's going to be completely fucked now, like they're like, okay, Marcus, here you go. You've got 6 trips, but if you don't get those shots, you can't go. I got to make a judgment call pretty quick.
Right.
I haven't come to that conclusion yet.
It's pretty crazy. You know, we had a couple of overseas things come up, and it was like, so I got trainers all over the world. So I was going to take my UK crew, but they had started a new quarantine rule.
Yep.
Like, go to this 1 week course. I was like, okay, understand that I need to pay this guy. He's got to come to your country 2 weeks early because you've got a 10-day quarantine. And he's got to quarantine back. So this 5-day course is actually a month of this trainer's time.
Yeah.
It's very strange times.
I don't know how anybody's being able to make any fucking money. Like, I'm amazed at these guys. I've seen some guys that are like, yeah, I'm over here doing this. I'm like, well, you're not doing things. And I'm all for, you know, bending the rules a little bit. I'm all for it. But if we're talking upfront honesty and complete transparency, how the fuck are you making any money? Because I can't go to these countries and do that.
Right.
So good for them, but I can't do it.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, there's always like some stuff going on where if you're like, some of these companies have an infrastructure that goes like, hey, this state is allowing this type of training. Right. And they get their guy, he's a road trip over there, you know. Yeah. So a lot of guys in the States have been able to do, you know, maybe their numbers are down, but they're able to continue their live training. So yeah.
But that here in America, I'm fucked because I don't make, like, Marcus doesn't even exist in America. Now overseas, then I'm doing okay. So which is why I'm not making any fucking money. Right.
And so why can't you replicate the success you have in Europe in America?
To be honest with you, my reputation or my name, whatever that is, within America is just not there. And I'm not a hey, look at me kind of guy. And not saying I'm not shitting on anybody that does, but it's just not in America. It's just not I'm just nobody in America, which is fine. I'm cool with that, but I just need to be transparent about the fact that, you know, so, you know, I've got a couple of things, like I'm doing some, I like when I can go do something and just donate the fucking cash, which is why I'm broke, because I'll go and do some women's thing where the money's going to a domestic abuse house. Right. And I'll do that all day long, but I'm also not making that public knowledge because it's just not the venue to be. Sure. Right. So it is what it is. I'm cool. Being, you know, it's been fun. Like doing the book was fun. Like that's been enough entertainment. The show and all that kind of stuff has been enough to keep the negative insurgency out of my head because it's given me something to go and look at.
Right. Dig it, man. I dig it.
Charlie Manson. Aren't you fucking happy you got to beat up Charlie Manson? Come on, man.
I didn't understand that shit. I got to speak to Clint about that. You know,
what do you not understand? Talk to me. I can dumb it down.
Why? Yeah, I just didn't understand it. I'm not smart enough to track that. Like, of all the bad guys in the world, how come I'm fighting Charlie Manson?
Well, it's a good question. That would be the artist that came up with that. And I'm not gonna say anything because I got to kick Hitler's ass. So I'm pretty happy with mine.
Well, I mean, that's a big thing. You know, do you think that was because of the Krav Israeli?
I asked that guy, Tom Mandrake. I asked him I don't know if he did. He didn't answer if it is, because that would make sense, right? That would definitely make sense. But Pat McNamara, I call him like I fucking know him. I don't know the guy. He got Saddam Hussein.
That makes sense, you know.
Right?
But it's interesting. Yeah, Pat's a trip. The several of the guys in there I trained with, or they were in my classes years ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can fucking see it. Don Rosso and Pat, as soon as they started talking about stuff, I was like, fuck, that looks a little familiar.
Right. Yeah. But and some mention it and some don't. You know, Pat mentions me in his classes and actually quotes me in his book, which is gratifying. Pat was actually on V911, he was a student in my class at
Interesting.
that particular location.
Right.
So that was like, of all the places to be in the world as a combatives guy working with the military, holy shit, what a
Yeah.
trip that was, you
I
know?
bet it was. I
Yeah.
bet it was.
Always remember that. Still friends with guys like, I'm still friends with Pat.
Right.
You know, and yeah, Dom, and there were a couple other guys on there that also trained with me that were, you know, from different military organizations. It's neat. It's neat to see the impact. I had a guy on. I saw a guy on Police One in 1993. I wrote an article, a treatise called "The Theory of Presumed Compliance," and it was published by Caliber Press's Street Survival. And when it was all over. And so this is 1993. I don't even know how many years ago. That's a long time ago, right?
A long time ago, yeah.
I saw a guy on Police One like 4 or 5 years ago being interviewed talking about how he created presumed compliance, this whole concept. And I'm like looking at that going like, are you like, it was so funny. I didn't even get angry. I was dumbfounded by it. And what it is, it's like stuff people don't even realize how like it gets there. And then you're like, did I come up with this? Did I not come up with this? It's just bizarre at an altruistic level. You know, I'm glad it's out there. You know, at the same time, growing a business, being a CEO of you know, our training division and our equipment division, we do some big numbers some years. And so I'm more of that goofy artist. There's a lot more of, you know, whatever, fuck, okay, I'm not going to do that. And I could like, I hate spreadsheets. I hate meetings. We get like team meetings and I'm like 2 minutes into the meeting, I'm like, fuck, I'm falling asleep. This is fucking, because I just want to, all my canvas is coaching. All I want to do, I come alive, you know, when I'm teaching, when I'm coaching. And it's just interesting because you need to protect your brand. You need to protect your intellectual property. And it's crazy. We've been, over the years, I've had a lot of people fucking rip me off, and equipment wise and the system wise. And it's bizarre because all I've ever asked for is just cite the source of your inspiration.
Yep. What does it take? Like, what is it on, not to cut you off, but what does it really fucking take? I'm going to give you the worst example possible. Deed, not the glory. Okay. Clint Emerson's little catchphrase. I will sit there and say it all the time and immediately say, by the way, that I got that from Clint Emerson. I remember growing up and being told a very simple rule. Hey, did you come up with that? No? Then fucking tell who it was. To this day, when I say when in doubt, knock him out, Big Vinny. Okay? When in doubt, knock him out is a Hell's Angel saying, which they have no copyright to it whatsoever. But if you have to acknowledge where you got it from because you didn't come up with it.
Right.
Own it, you fucking coward. Don't even get me started. Well, and I get pissed off about it because I know with your gear, and the fucking piece of shit that came up with his own fucking bullshit. And I look at that and I'm like, first of all, people say, well, it's ballsy. I think it's fucking cowardice. And the only thing saving that motherfucker from being a ditch in the ground is legalities. Because you can't fucking bury him because of fucking all lines will come back to you. So whatever that fucking piece of shit is that did that, you're living on borrowed time. Because somehow, some way, life will come by and you're going to get hit by a fucking semi. And I hope they run you over, go back and run you over again, you fucking coward.
My wife will love you for saying that. Listen, there's three companies, three people that have ripped off high gear. Two of them reverse engineered it. So they invested in it. They spent money in it. They went, this is a good idea. That's because of how close they were. It's a gray area, but at least they followed a business protocol like you're knocking
Mhm.
something off in China.
Yep. Yep.
One person worked for me, took my patterns, had my patterns,
Yeah.
had my computer, had my, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this on the call here, but would call up my clients and go, hey, can I send you a suit to T&E?
Sample.
And they just assumed it was something from me because of this guy's relationship with me.
Yep.
He
Yep.
didn't call up and go, yeah, I'm no longer with Blower Tactical. I started my own thing. I'm using the patterns and dyes. Because listen, and this blows my mind because a lot of everyone knows the story, but a lot of people will buy the cheaper gear.
Of course. Yep.
And I go, like, you're a police officer. Why would you buy the cheaper gear? It's not your money. It's not that much cheaper. Aren't you supposed to uphold the law, even if it's a moral, ethical law? But you're 100% right. Let's not spend a lot of time on this.
No, and I only brought it up just because of the fact that at the end of the day, your actions, verbal, are that's your currency. Okay. In my opinion, I don't have much going for me in this way, Tony. Like, I'm not a rich man, and I'm very thankful to be on like these kind of podcasts or the book or any of that shit. But at the end of the day, the only thing I got going for me is I'm going to own what I've done and who I've been able to get that way to that position, because I didn't do it on my own. Nobody does anything on their own. There's no fucking self-made people. There's always people that are there behind you. So giving credibility to where it's due, I think, is the very bare minimums as a human that you can do in this lifetime. That's the bare minimums. Own your shit and give credit where it's due. Because all we have is our integrity. Yes or no?
100%.
So if that's the only thing we got going, right? If that's all we got going for us, then give the fucking credibility where it's due and up your integrity on this fucking planet. Now, I realize I'm preaching to the choir, but I had to get it out before I had a fucking aneurysm.
No. It's the biggest thing is integrity. And I really believe everyone knows what's right and what's wrong. And then they make that choice.
Yep.
And years ago, I said, when all this shit started to happen, I said, integrity's for sale. It's $1 more than you're paying for a lot of people.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep. And right on. And to be honest with you, I've always been a big believer that if, let's say, I lent somebody $20 or whatever, and they fucked me over, well, I actually probably got away cheap because they showed who the fuck they were. And I'm happy that, right? No, I mean, when it comes to your situation, that's the zeros are vastly bigger. But at the end of the day, thank you for showing me you're a cocksucking douchebag. Thank you. Because you know what? Fuck you. And that goes to, I'm talking about everybody that I've met in my lifetime. And I'm sure there's people that say it about me because I haven't always been a good person. So, there's depending on which side of the coin you're looking at, Tony, if I talk to 3 people, maybe somebody will be like, well, Tony Blair's a fucking cocksucking son of a bitch. And somebody says he's a good person. I got to go with my interactions.
Sure.
Well, you know what? To me, he's been this. So maybe I fucking caught him on a good day. But at the end of the day, this is what I feel about him. And then have that conversation from there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Things got a little heated there. We were screaming at motherfuckers who have no integrity. Let's continue. We got to do the rocking chair thing and see what else. If you can come up with some pictures or people or videos, I'll do one with you and let's see how that takes off.
I'd love to do it.
It'd be very funny. This will be the pilot episode. We'll see what type of feedback we get from this. And then we could bring on guests each time and roast them or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
The trying to think of. Have you ever been in my high gear suit?
I have not. No, okay. I haven't.
Yeah, we got to.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Have I? No. No, I was even trying to think, did I get in one of those fucking knockoffs too? But no, I didn't go anywhere near that, and I haven't been in them.
Dig it. Okay. What would you? I had some, questions or thoughts with the 100 Deadly Skills and the Clint Eastwood. Yeah. Clint Eastwood. Clint,
Word association.
Clint Emerson.
Yeah.
Experience. Did they film that in Arizona with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that. How was that for you?
Well, that was it was a
let me
good
interrupt for a second. For a guy who claims he's not well known in America and he's overseas, how did Clint?
Well, I think it's I'd actually love to have him around and ask that question, because my version is that I stalked him so much on fucking social media that when I was living in Texas at the time, and we were both at DFW, both going to California, and I walked up to him and I'm like, "Hey, Mr. Emerson," he's like, "Hey, Marcus." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, obviously that stalking shit works."
Right.
And then we text messaged back and forth, and then he hit me up about a month or two later, saying it was concept of the book that he was going to go to, and I didn't say anything but yes, sir. Yeah, thank you. Right. To this day, I don't know why he put me in the book, and I say this not with any kind of false humility kind of stuff. I'm being very honest here. I don't know what I'm doing in that book, but I'm thankful that I'm in the book, and I'm thankful for the experience that I got out of it, because it's for me, there's nothing better than, I'm obviously looking at a legacy, right? I'm looking at what did I do in my lifetime and what have I got to look back on, and some things.
Have you ever done the exercise that's called a look back? Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to share it with you. A good friend of mine. Do you know the name J.C. Glick?
Yeah, I know the name. I don't know him personally.
Okay. He's a retired Army Ranger, written a couple of books, but also a very good friend of mine, was in a bunch of my classes. He's with, I met him when I trained asymmetric warfare for over a decade. And that's where I met him. Big dude. If you ever talk to him, there's like a moment where he questioned whether something would work with a long gun, with a movement, with a spear and all that. And I did the demo with him. In the back of my mind, I'm going, man, I hope this fucking works, because this guy's really big. I knew it would, but you always wonder, because, and as a guy, he was a coach, separate from his work in the military. In his free time, he coached lacrosse and other sports. And he just really appreciated the breakdown of the physiology, the physics, the mechanics, and the Hicks law relevance of the spear and all that. And became fascinated with that. We became really good friends. But a few years ago, when in 2010, a lot of bad shit happened to me. I lost my company over a weekend, $12 million company. Boom. It could have been a movie of the week, like as far as the manipulation between my partner and my COO and all the shit they did. And I remember calling JC, because then I found out, I had guys that I had mentored calling. They thought I was done when I dissolved the company and moved to California.
Right.
So instead of them backing me or saying, hey, what can I do for you? You've been so supportive over the years, you mentored, because all these trainers, nobody would know who the fuck any of these guys were if it weren't for Lauer Tactical and Spear.
Right.
Yeah. And JC in one of my calls says, I want you to do a look back. And I was like, what's a look back? Mm-hmm. And the look back, and you actually use the word, so I want to share it with you and pay it forward, is I want you to, it's creating a timeline of the earliest memory you can have. And you can do one in all aspects of your life, but do one for you as a martial artist, self-defense, aficionado, proponent, exponent, and write down everything you can remember, and it'll start to grow. But basically, when you talk about this isn't false humility, I don't know what I'm doing in the book, I'm grateful to be in the book. I can tell you this, Clint is a badass.
Mm-hmm.
He would not have had you in the book because he felt sorry for you.
Right.
So I if I can share something with you, if you look at that, you've been studying, practicing, and thinking about self-defense and martial arts for 40 fucking years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when you first started that there was somebody in your club or community that said, that guy's been training 10 years? 10 years was a magic marker.
Yeah.
Most people, never make it to the 10 years.
Right. Yeah.
You've done 10 years times 4.
Right.
Right. And if you start thinking, I did Wing Chun here, I watched Enter the Dragon 400 times. I did, I did 80 million knuckle push-ups. I looked at pictures of Joe Louis and his knuckle. I would punch Mac. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about you right now.
Yeah, I got you.
And you write down these look backs that in 1971, I did this. In 1972, I did this. And then you start looking at this thing, and I gotta try and I'm gonna pull this up. Where the fuck did I just post it? Timeline. Hang on a second, because I'll show you a picture of what it looks like. But what you do, so JC told me to do this, and I made this list of everything, every article I was in, every meeting I had, every trip that I could remember. And I'd be sitting there, and all of a sudden I go, oh fuck, because when you start to think about like these 4 events, then you remember, oh, I was at that trade show, and then I did that demo, and then I talked to here, and that turned into that trip. I completely forgot about that time that I met that guy at Trexpo, and he invited me, and I took a trip to France, and I did a seminar for the gendarme that I completely. And then suddenly, wow, Siri just, I think it's here. Okay, beautiful. So here's what it looks like. So I shared this exercise with a bunch of people on my training team, and they would do things like, let's see if it'll zoom in there. So they would start to do, so in this case here, I don't know if you can't really, don't try to read it, but the idea, I'll show you a couple more so you get like just what people started to do.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, zoom in there and focus, motherfucker. Can you see that? There you go.
I can see. Yeah.
Right. And I'll show you 1 or 2 more, because it's I did it. JC passed it on to me. Here's another person's, and you can see.
Oh wow. Okay.
They did that by year, and then bullet points.
Right.
This particular exercise was for my affiliates, and I said, I want you to explain, because everyone's dealing with here's a cool one, lack of confidence.
Yeah.
And you remember Iggy Pop? Hang on a second.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Again, just showing you, people just did their own graphical representation of that. I did one, it was just like bullets, ding, 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 ding. And then after I did all the bullets, I go, I think that was 1973. I think that was 75. I think that was 80. That was it. And here's what you get, dude. When you do that, you look back and you go, holy fuck. And I want you to think about this. I hear a lot, and we just met. We've talked, we've texted for a long time, but we just met. There's a narrative that you share all the time that where you're holding on to an insecurity that shouldn't be there.
Right. Yeah.
And the look back exercise, and hopefully this moment in our conversation, what I want is not arrogance, but I want you when you go, man, like I came from here, I'm broken, I'm nobody, I'm this and that becomes part of your speech.
Right.
There's a part of that when you stand up, you're like standing on fucking rocky footing.
Right.
Whereas if I go, dude, you said you're an alcoholic and you're not an alcoholic now, you cleared yourself out, you got this, you built your body up, you did this, you've been training for 40 years, you trained all over the world. You're, how many other non-Israelis are certified in the organization that you are?
At my level, none.
So hold on a second. You're the only guy in the world that is certified in
on my team. On my team, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like we come back to part of this is like Clint's a fucking badass who doesn't give a fuck about you, unless there was something to give a fuck about.
Right.
And I want you to, if you can, starting today, visualize all of this. And this is the metaphoric example that if, where's my fucking dry erase pen here? God damn it. Hold on.
Get that motherfucking thing. There we go. Oh, shit. Oh.
I'll send you this shirt, man.
Hey, there we go. Good. Yeah. Adapt,
Okay.
improvise. There you go.
So here we are. This is you. Hi, I'm Marcus, right? And you're standing here. And what you're standing on is, as an alcoholic, I'm nobody. I'm well known in Europe, but in Canada and the USA, people don't give a shit. I don't even know why I'm in the book. You got this. And then I go, I want you to do your timeline starting in 1971 over here. And you do your timeline like this. I did this, I did this, I did this. I did 90 million push-ups. I did all these gun courses. I trained with fucking Rick Hogg, ex-special operations guy. I follow Pat, I follow Joe Blow. I do this, I did this exercise. I did these 90 million martial arts. I trained for 40 fucking years that got me up to 2021. I've been to Europe. How many times? I'm the only guy in the Israeli Federation that's non-Israeli in my group. And you do it linear like this. And then I want you, and this is the metaphor. These lines are the striations, like in a fucking tree or in rock, that go, this is how long, this is your integrity. Mm-hmm. This is your fucking bedrock that you stand on when you go, hello, my name's Marcus, and I'm here to teach you how to think during a violent encounter. And none of that other shit needs to be there anymore, man.
Yeah.
Right? You have you ever hear the term intellectual capital?
Yes.
It's a wonderful expression. I love it. Intellectual capital means the wealth of your experience.
Yeah.
And if you do that, man, like I think your posture changes, like that energetic posture. I think how honest and how blunt you are is great, but you've got a lot more to give to people than just playing that card. Than just like, you're a good fucking human. Mm-hmm. And the look back exercise, and I had to share that with you when I heard you say, and this is just spontaneous, I don't even know why I'm in the book.
Right. Because
like I look at the book and I go, why are all these other guys in the book? The book should just be about me. Like, it should just be like you're only doing nonviolent postures with me, Clint.
Right.
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 And I'm half joking, but the part of your mind and your passion and your entrepreneurial ego is like, I've got so much more to offer.
Right.
In there. And then you go, holy shit. Wow. Pat's in there, Dom's in there, fucking, I forget all the other names.
Right.
like,
Yeah.
like crazy stuff. But while some of the guys might have been recommended by a friend, like we don't know, Clint might have said, hey, I want to get a Krav Maga guy. And someone might have said, what about this guy, Marcus? He's in Arizona. Or they might have said, what about this guy? He's in Tel Aviv. And you go like, it's a road trip, man. Fucking
Yeah.
pay it. Right.
Yeah.
But I guarantee, and I want you to understand this from me to you, and I didn't ask Clint this, but he didn't put you in there because you stalked him on the internet. He put you in there because at some point he went, is this guy legit? And he went to your website and he looked at your credentials and he looked at, and the look back that I want you to do, he extrapolated and went 40 years, decades of doing this, and the guy's cool. Fuck yeah, let's put him in there. And so you earned that spot, right? So it's cool to say. It's fun hearing you go. I don't know why I'm in the book. It's funny, you know. It's like it's fun to hear that. But I want you to know that the guy who made the book happen checked you out, whether you know how or why. And if you were a flake or a fraud, you wouldn't have gotten the call. And remember that and celebrate that a little bit.
Good points. I can't argue. I want to come back with something, but I can't even. I got nothing.
Dude, it's so, you know, I just did a big webinar with a private group that I do some coaching for on imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to the group, I said, like, who here thinks, based on what they understand, who here thinks they suffer from imposter syndrome? And everyone put their hand up.
Mm-hmm.
It's that moment of like, why am I here? I don't deserve to be here. What if I get found out?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I went like, and I said to them, you probably know this, but a lot of people don't. Like Mike Tyson used to throw up before every fight.
Yeah.
So if I walked you into if you didn't know who Mike Tyson was, and I walked you into the locker room, and there's this guy over a pail going, hua, hua, hua. And I said, who are you going to bet on tonight? Right? And then we had just come from the other room where the guy's like taking pictures and doing shit like this and fucking doing things here. And he's bouncing around and see you out there, man. And you see this guy who's strutting and confident, Conor McGregor, walking around his room. And then you walk here, and there's a guy throwing up, and you don't know who Mike Tyson is.
Right.
Who are you betting on?
Oh, of course, the other guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So Mike Tyson's throwing up. And a psychologist might go, well, you know, imposter syndrome can trigger that sort of reaction. You know, like, I don't fucking know. What I said to this group, I said, imposter syndrome didn't exist before somebody said there's a thing called imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah. They put a name to it. Yeah.
You put a name to it, and now you think about it, and now you're wondering, do I suffer from that? Like, I'm nervous before I go talk on stage, or I know. And I share this. I got one of my really good trainers, this guy named Dave Boyle, lives in Ireland. He's a badass. He's been in a lot of fights. He's seen a lot of violence. He grew up in Ireland. He's been in martial arts for decades. He's been a doorman at fucking clubs and pubs in Ireland. He's now a professional stuntman. He jumps off of buildings on fire, right? You know, gets shot off horses in Westerns. He's in the series Vikings, you know, all these. So he's about to do a 2-hour online course from me. We have a course called Essentials of Personal Safety that my team does online, live online, 2 hours, situational awareness, some basic shit, some things, fun stuff. So I always text all my trainers before their course, how you doing? How you feeling? You need anything? Can I help you do anything? So I text Dave. I go, hey, Davey, how you doing, man? He said, good, coach. I said, how do you feel? You ready to go? He said, yeah, I'm ready to go, but I'm nervous. And all my guys know transparency is everything.
Yeah.
Total transparency. And he goes, yeah, I'm nervous. I go, Dave, you're a fucking stuntman who jumps off of buildings on fire. You've been a martial artist for 30 years. You've been in a fucking ton of street fights. How the fuck can you be nervous to do an online Zoom course? And he's like, I don't know, I just am, man. Like, it's my first course. I go, no, you've taught for me in person. I have flown you from Ireland to my combatives camp in Vegas to teach or whatever, like all over the world. I always go another layer. I always look at fear like an onion.
Right.
Whatever you tell me, I go, no. Until you finally say, and finally Dave says to me, I don't want to let you down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said to him, and I say this to you, our anxiety for guys like you and me is because we fucking care.
Yeah.
It's not because we're not prepared. But if you don't have the self-awareness to peel your own onion, and I always tell people, self-awareness informs situational awareness. Self-awareness is the gateway to critical thinking. If you don't understand that you're in the fear loop, or you're prejudiced or arrogant or a prick or whatever, all of these other things that we go through as we age, you can't kind of look at an event past or upcoming and go, oh, wow, I see I was going to run this program or do this or react to it this way. So, but it was interesting. And I just share that with you because, again, I just met you, but I see a really sensitive, emotional, caring human who also happens to be a badass who you'll bite somebody's nose off and headbutt them if you have to, save your life. And you abhor violence, much like I do. People don't realize that. If someone said to me, name one thing I don't know about Tony Blauer, I go, you don't understand how much I abhor violence. To the point that I would say I'm scared of violence, to the degree so much that I've studied it and practiced it so that I'm a fucking architect with it. I understand the blueprint of it, from the physiology to the psychology. And I hope that I never have to fucking use it.
Right.
But I understand it so deeply, and I pressure tested so many things. But that depth, that's what I see a lot in you, and is that, and just, dude, like be kinder and gentler to yourself about that, because I think the strength that people need to get from you, which they do because you've been very effective and successful, but the strength that they get will be more pure. Let the dark side come out as reference only when it needs to, but lead less with it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Yeah. That look back is going to be a interesting exercise.
Do it and try to partition it. Like if you start to go dark,
yeah,
I can go, no, I'll do a look back on that dark shit, and then maybe I'll roll up in a ball and throw it in a fire. But keep this one
right, just on the martial situation,
your martial self-defense journey.
Yeah,
and then you do one on other stuff and do one on, and but again, it's instead of looking at it like, in my mind, this is my intuition, like a lot of people, I showed you 4 or 5 graphics. Some of them run horizontally,
right?
Some of them run vertically.
Yeah.
My guidance to people is, like, if I was doing it in a presentation, I'd make it horizontal,
right?
Because it needs to be landscape on a keynote or PowerPoint,
right?
But if I'm telling you to do it as a coach of yours, I want it to be vertical, because I want you to understand how old this tree is, how deep the core goes, that this is my bedrock. And when I stand up to say, hey, I'm going to teach you, I'm standing on fucking firm footing.
Yeah.
This is my history. And what I'm about to tell you is I just did a podcast last week, and the guy sends me a message. He goes, "Hey, what do you think? Did you dig it?" And I said, "Hey, man, I don't mean any disrespect. The interview was great. I loved your questions." I said, "But I never listened to my podcasts."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and he's like, why? And I'm like, because the next one will be better.
Yeah.
That's how. And so when you think about the bedrock, I'm not going, oh, look, in 1975, I did so good in that seminar. I'm like, I ask, and it is a thing when I train my trainers, I go, hey, was that your best seminar? How'd you do? Like, I have them all do an AAR. Was that your best course ever? And they go, no. And the joke is, no, my next one will be.
Right. Yeah. Funny. It's funny that you say that, though, because that verbiage is the verbiage that goes through my head after every single presentation of whatever I have to do. That's the exact same question that's asked. That the AAR that I do in my head is, I only see the mistakes. I go, I'll do a better one next time. That's just ironic that ends up being the verbiage that you just sat there and say with your team.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. And it's the way it needs to be. And listen, in one of my business programs that I run, I tell people, I tell them, listen, I am sharing my experience of being relevant in the self-defense world for over 40 fucking years.
Right.
And how I've gone through all these different eras of when everyone was a ninja, when everyone was a street fighter, when everyone was MMA, when everyone was Krav, when everyone was whatever it was.
Yeah.
I was still just doing my shit.
Mm-hmm.
And never deviated since 1980 when my student lost that fight. But I was there before the internet, right?
Yeah.
And then I was there when Al Gore claimed he invented the internet, right? And I had haters before there was such a thing as a troll and a hater, right?
Yeah.
But like I say that in that I look at all this stuff and I'll go, I've never watched any. I got like 40 something videos out on the market, almost 50 videos. I've never watched one of them. I do little sound checks. I'll scroll to one. I'll go, okay, I got to change the lighting and the angle, but I don't watch them.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of people in this business course that I do going, but can't we learn a lot studying ourselves? And can't we maybe extract things from there, little snippets and sound clips? I said, yeah, that's completely different. Yeah. I said, also, I'm sharing. I'm not asking anybody to imitate.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just sharing where I'm at.
Points. Yeah.
If you want to look back and go, like, you may not realize how many times, and I say this, you generic person listening, how many times you say in a, and you'll never change it until you listen to it and go, oh my God, I say every fucking second, because it'll make you sick. And you'll purge it from your persona. Yeah. So there are some values to doing that, but I've just been speaking for so long and teaching for so long that I can go, like, when it's over, my AAR is very black and white.
Right.
I forgot this, I didn't do this, I didn't do a good job here. Yeah. I rambled here. Fuck that shit. I can't wait to the next opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm happy that I'm on the right fucking path then, because if I got you, crusty old bastard number one, saying those things, then obviously and I'm already doing that just from my experience. That makes me feel good, to be honest with you, that I'm on the right path.
No, dude, I don't. It doesn't surprise me. You're not 20. Listen, I got a 29-year-old son that I text things to, where I'm going, hey, check this out, do this, remember this. Hey, Nikki, I wish someone had told me this when I was in my 20s. And I always laugh after I send it, because I go, he probably rolls his eyes, goes, thanks, Dad, double taps a heart.
That's it.
and probably goes, my old man, he's fucking insane. Like, because I'm thinking in my 20s, if some guy in his 60s said, remember this.
Yeah.
I go,
yeah, okay.
But your ego then is, this doesn't apply to me. This applies to you. The reality is, you know, the expression "youth is wasted on the young," right?
Yeah, I've said it yesterday. Yeah.
Right? So the fact that what I'm saying resonates, or that you're already doing it,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't surprise me in any way, because you are 51. You're getting close to that. But more importantly, our banter, it's not like if anyone starts this 10 minutes in, they're not going to think this is the first time we met.
Right.
There is something in your, and it's not because we're fucking Canadian. It's the way we look at the world.
Yeah.
Is similar. And when I said you're too hard on yourself, you're sensitive, you're emotional, you don't like violence, I was actually talking about myself too, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, that's that connection. And some of the things that I asked you to do, I wish somebody had asked me to do in my 20s, and I had the presence of mind to go, do I trust this guy? Because maybe I'll do it here, and I don't fully understand the importance or value of this exercise, but I'll go through it. And that's my guidance, because I've got like people that I coach that are in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s. I got a guy who's on our team. He's fucking 70 years old, you know, like learning how to teach this shit.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And so I'll say something, and this guy is making notes and going, like, I did that exercise, did that. And then there's like the 30-year-old guy in the class, he's like this.
Yeah.
You know, Tony's saying this, but it doesn't really apply to me. It must just apply to and I tell people like it's like Stephen Pressfield's War of Art book, right? It's resistance, it's fear. And we don't realize it. And fear has so many different labels, like semantic
faces.
You know, why do you fear about that? I don't have fear. I just don't like doing that. Like, that resistance is fear.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's funny. And because of the fact that the world is run a lot of times on fear, it's fascinating to see how people react to anything.
I think fear operates at a non-conscious level for all of us.
Yeah.
What am I going to do today? What am I going to? Is the weather going to be nice? What do you give a fuck? Well, it's not like debilitating fear. No. Well, I'm just afraid if it's hot again, or I'm afraid if it rains. We don't talk like that.
Right.
But if I can't decide, I'm going to go have lunch when we get done here. Should I have tuna? Should I make eggs? Like, I don't have fear. I don't have fear of either protein.
No.
But I joke. I go, if you are procrastinating on making a decision, it's because at some level you have fear of choosing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're taking this no fear shit to like the wrong level, to another depth. And I don't think so. I'm just trying to get people to understand that even in a non-noxious, meaning a non-dangerous way, fear,
it's still running through you.
Yeah.
Kind of like the phone. There's always something going on with your phone at all times. What is it? They have apps that are running all the time.
Yeah.
You know
what
I mean?
Refresh, right?
I think that we're always in the same way. I agree 1,000%. And it makes a lot of sense when you consider the stuff that happens throughout your day to day.
This ties back to, buddy, the self-awareness thing, that how many nights have you had something happen? You read something a little too late, or you looked at a tweet, or someone said, did you hear about this? And then you go, fuck, man, that fucking sucks. And then you're getting in bed and you think to yourself, oh, fuck, I hope I don't think about that or dream about that. I don't want to like if that's not the fear of startle flinch fear.
No.
You just questioned whether you'd have a good night's sleep.
Yep.
And if you don't have self-awareness, you can't change the false expectation appearing real, the moving your mind. And now maybe you do have a shitty night's sleep. But at a minimum, you get a cortisol shot before you go to bed, wondering, am I going to have anxiety before I go to sleep?
Yeah.
That's that's how powerful that no fear program is, man.
Yeah, I find it fascinating. And again, when I've looked into it, I've looked at it at a very shallow fucking elementary school level, like, holy shit, wow, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And when you've brought it up in your discussions online, I find that it seems to be a program that, and not to suck your cock or anything, but if our children,
please do, because my wife has stopped doing that.
Yes.
Holy shit, did we just say this on the show? Now I got to make this XXX, but go ahead.
Yeah. Whoops, my bad. But imagine if our youth, like youth being 10, 11, 12, were not reprogrammed, but enlightened into this subject, how much of an impact it would have later on. They'd still make the same mistakes and all that kind of stuff, but their recovery of making those mistakes, or their awareness of that they're making those mistakes, I mean, you would alter a huge portion of our fuck ups as youth.
Dude, that's so big. And I like, I've said that a bunch of times on podcasts where I go, like, I didn't need to learn about the Chinook winds in elementary school. I didn't need to learn about like geography and physics and stuff. Like, there was so much information that was thrown at me where I was afraid to ask a girl out to the prom. I was afraid of that kid over there. I was afraid to fail a test. I was afraid to ask a question in class. And if we taught kids how to manage fear, and that fear is normal, and it can mean you're nervous, or you're not prepared, or you want to do a good job, like Dave, I don't want to let you down.
Yeah.
And we taught people how to look at it and define it.
Yeah.
Then we change lives.
Yes.
And I really, that's like my big thing. And this is a crazy thing, is because I love so much about the SPEAR system, and I've created 2 separate verticals in the company. There's a whole coaching, corporate, personal development, no fear, KNOW fear program. And then there's the one that we teach operators, law enforcement, and citizens. And, but if somebody said to me, hey, sorry, you can only pick one.
You do the corporate one?
I would do the no fear, because what I've discovered in studying violent encounters over decades is that there's a lot of really well-trained people that get their ass fucking kicked or get maimed or killed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a slogan that out of analyzing all of this over the decades, I sum up in one, how important is fear management? And it's summed up in this one sentence: the people who manage their fear manage to fight.
Yeah.
The people who manage their fear manage to fight. Two is the operative word there, because it doesn't ensure victory.
Right. But at least they have an option.
It means you're in the fight, and you know this from your research and your experience, that even if you get your ass kicked, the fact that you are throwing punches or raking or fucking hitting or moving, that does so much to your self-esteem and your emotional recovery.
Yeah.
And if you just laid there in a fetal position, get the ass kicked, that's what causes the PTSD.
Yep. I agree 1,000%. Look at, and it's a bad example, but one that I use, and I just bring it up because, again, I just want to impress on you that I feel good about that. You and I'm on the right path. I had 2 women, ironically, 30 years ago, that both were raped within a month of each other. One fought, one didn't. And I still keep touch with them to this day. And the one that didn't fight doesn't leave the house, never has a relationship. The one that did fight ended up getting a divorce, but getting remarried, and now just mentors other women in the fact that fighting at least has a positive impact. So that's huge.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's amazing. Okay, dude, we can talk forever, and we'll do
it. I know. Go up
the whole thing. It's almost 10-3. Holy shit. Let's the usual bullshit questions. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you to learn more about you?
Instagram, or go to the website, marcustorgerson.com.
Okay, I'll put that in the show notes.
Sweet.
anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't talk about that you wish you get off? You went, fuck, I should have said this.
No, anything that I want to talk about would be talked face to face over a meal.
Dig it. Okay, man.
All right.
Let's stay in touch. Let's do another episode called Crusty Old Martial Arts Bitching.
Excellent.
And,
oh my God, yes. Fuck yes.
And so come up with your homework is to come up with like a video, and we'll just or a theme or a thought, and we'll put it up there, and we'll just start talking about it. We'll record it and see what happens, and then we'll put it out there, see what the type of feedback is. And dude, it was so good to finally meet you. And there were a couple scenes in here that I'm not going to edit, but the blowing me one, it scarred me.
Yeah, you might want to take that out a little bit.
It scarred me a little bit.
Well, and I don't, and your answer, I don't think that needs to be said at all. So it's okay.
Yeah. No, I'm not editing anything. I don't edit shit. I don't have time for that. That'll be in there. And that might be the clip that maybe people, we put that on there and people are like, holy shit, what did they talk about?
Yeah.
And from the bottom of my heart, do the look back.
I am going to. I'm nervous, excited about it.
And if you have a writer's block moment or any other issue, you got my cell. Hit me up.
Yeah, Roger. Do I have your cell? I don't know if
I'm not going to give it to you on the podcast.
But I'll grab it. I'll grab it before we go. Good.
Okay.
Thanks again, Tony. I appreciate it. Take care.
Stand by. I know we said goodbye, but we started talking offline, so we're recording this again. And I gave Marcus my phone number, which you're not going to get because I know you guys are going to prank me in the middle of the night and just go, I heard you're not having sex anymore. But what we started talking about is, which was really interesting, is Marcus asked me how I'm enjoying Zoom, teaching on Zoom and everything. And I had one of my classes today. So I teach 5 days a week on Zoom. As a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, I gained like 17 fucking pounds, stopped moving. When I started, and I wore it well, you wouldn't look at me and go, Tony's fat, because I'm short and stocky and I'd wear a big shirt. And I dropped 17 pounds from doing the Zoom classes. Because they're not Zoom classes, they're tactical fitness, they're spear classes, they're psychology, they're fear management. But I was in so much pain when I started. I couldn't do 2 push-ups in a row because of shoulder nerve pain and shit like that. You know, I'm banging out fucking 30, 40, 50 push-ups with guys doing shit, moving around, kicking again, fucking grappling again, doing all sorts of shit. You know, there's an expression, I don't know who came up with it, is if you don't move, you rust.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, that's true. I started moving again. It was painful in the beginning, but now I'm moving and down to the weight I was when I was 40. Right. And so, but here's the most important thing. You asked me if I liked it. And I said to you, yeah, I've gotten really good at it. I enjoy it. I said to my public safety class today, on Fridays, we do public safeties only. We're talking about Zoom as an experience. Like, a lot of people I can't learn on Zoom because they've decided unconsciously that they can't, because all of their training was live. And what I said today, and I wanted to share with everybody, is what if you only had ever learned online and you didn't even know what a live class was? Now imagine this: somebody cancels the internet. And I say to you, Marcus, you can no longer train online. The internet's been canceled. You got to drive to this facility to learn what you were learning on Zoom. And you got to drive, and it's 20 miles. And you go, I got to drive there? Yeah, you got to find parking. And then you got to get ready. So you got to leave an hour earlier. Now suddenly you're going, I miss the days when we fucking trained on Zoom. If you flip it.
Yeah.
Flip it. Listen, there's some stuff that you can't learn jiu-jitsu. You can't learn body impact training. You can't stare another man or person in the face and get hit and fucking hit back and have that. You can't replace that. Like Bruce Lee, did Bruce Lee say this, or Inosanto said it to me? You can't learn to swim standing on a beach. I think Bruce said it. I don't know if Inosanto said it to me, but I don't know if it was something Bruce said to him or if Dan said to me. But you can't learn to swim standing on a beach. But guess what? You can learn to swim standing on a beach, but you can't know that you can swim unless you get in the water.
Right.
Because I can learn the strokes and the movement.
Yeah.
And then I go, does that work? And I go, I don't know. Gee, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Remember the University of Chicago study with the basketball players, the 3 groups? University of Chicago did a study. They took 3 groups, they had them shoot hoops.
Right.
And one group, I think it was for a month or 3 months, continued to practice. And one group could visualize, but not touch a ball.
Right.
And one group did nothing. So one group, they measured their skill. We actually got together and shot. Then they were split up into 3 groups. One group continued to practice a certain amount every day or every week. The other group only practiced by visualizing.
Right.
Couldn't even touch the ball, could do this, could visualize. And the other group, you're not allowed to try not to think about it or do it. At the end of it, they came back and retested them. The group that did nothing didn't improve at all. The group that practiced with the actual ball improved whatever percent. And the group that visualized, that didn't actually have a ball and a hoop, improved almost exactly the same as the group that practiced.
Really?
Now, you just Google basketball study, University of Chicago, and you'll read about it. So that's the power of the mind intelligently practicing. Now, what's missing from this subject is this, and this is just my spin on it in my crazy brain. I go, that's only relevant if you have a group that knows how to throw a basketball into a net. In other words, if I take a group of people from some part of the world that's never even seen a basketball, then I test them and then I do it, the fucking numbers will be all over the world, like all over the place, right? So people had a baseline skill. We got to talk baseline. Anyways, I'm off on another crazy tangent. This will be a 9-hour. But what I wanted to share with you, because you asked me offline, how am I enjoying the online stuff? I wanted to record that because I want everyone listening, because you're listening to a Zoom recording. Online. And the first thing I said to you is people who don't like classes online don't like them because of a false narrative and or their trainer sucks. If the content is fun, if the person is engaging and stimulating, you will learn. Is it perfect? It's as perfect as you can't learn to swim standing on a beach. Wait a minute. You can learn to swim the biomechanics, but you don't know if it works until you get in the water.
So you test it.
That's kind of what it is, so.
Well, and I think you made a good point, not to go too far down this more, but how you instruct live or Zoom, right? It's easy to teach live when you can feed off of the energy of the people that are in front of you. But if you can still generate the same kind of enthusiasm and enjoyment staring in front of a camera, that is going to instantly show you whether or not you can actually teach or coach or educate or empower or not.
But I'll do things in a Zoom call where I'll go, my nonviolent posture theory, right? You see my Trojan horse thing. So let me see you do like a negotiator stance, fingers splayed. And now pad the air, go, hey man, that's close enough, right? Okay, now put your hands down, right? And I'll do things like this in the class where I'll go, hey, you looking at me, man? And as I get closer, your hands will come up. And now you're like, fuck you, man. Like, and you're like, whoa. And I can create and stimulate. Like the neural connection. It's not perfect. I'll do things like this where I'll go, okay, Marcus, now close your eyes. For real, close your eyes. When I say open your eyes, find me in the room and then adjust the nonviolent posture to address me. Open your eyes, find me. Right? So there you go. You just went to your 10 o'clock because I was offline. So I
Right.
can do things. I'm just giving like silly examples now where people are actually fucking doing stuff, you know,
Engaged. Yeah.
they're engaged. I'll have people close their eyes, and then I'll say, close your eyes, open your eyes. And then all of a sudden I'm there like this, and I go, give me your fucking wallet.
Right.
Now they're like, oh fuck. So this stance doesn't make sense
Doesn't
now.
make sense. They have to put it here. Yeah.
Hands down here in case I got to go after the gun.
Right.
So they are learning. The only thing they're not doing is I go, hey, what's happening here is I go, guys, we're doing everything that you're going to do live with me, except we can't go swimming.
Right.
There's
Right.
no pool here.
Yeah. There's no pool, no water. Yeah. Right. So the physical engagement is what's going to happen at a later time.
And listen, if they need it, and here's the thing is for decades, I've taught my Be Your Own Bodyguard course that is designed for non-martial artists, right? And I teach this one-day course with the same efficiency and effectiveness as a paramedic or firefighter teaching a first aid course.
Right.
Like you learn how to put on a tourniquet, how to do CPR, how to fucking pump someone's chest, how to do all these things. They don't, as part of your training, like drive you to the scene of an accident and go,
yeah, right. Yeah.
And so, but you don't leave that course going, fuck, I hope somebody chokes tonight at dinner so I can try this out. Like,
yeah,
you know,
no.
right. And so, like, I tell people, like, because I get asked this question a lot, hey, how do I know this works? I go, when I tell you what's happening, does it sound like I'm lying? They go, no. So do you believe this? Yeah. Did you feel that strength? Did you feel that movement? Yeah. You don't ever want to find out. You don't need to, but this will. Now, for some people, depending on your athleticism, your experience, who you are, like if you're a cop, if you're in the military, if you've been a victim of violence, you might need to know.
Yeah.
Because
for the insecurity in the back of your head. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got no problems with that. But I do have a problem when a alleged expert says, unless you do this, you don't know.
Right.
No, like I've had a lot of people use our stuff who've had 0 reps and have used it against a real predator, call me up after and go, holy shit, this happened last night. And they had no reps before that. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you just figure it out. So,
yeah.
And that's my expression. Don't confuse technical with tactical. A lot of people confuse learning practical self-defense skills with learning a martial art.
Right. Yeah.
You ask the average martial artist, can you learn to defend yourself in a day? They will unequivocally say, no, of course not, because they're still on the journey.
Yes. Yeah.
But if I ask someone who's graduated a first aid course, who maybe put a tourniquet on somebody because they kept a kid in their bag and they came across an accident, saved somebody's life. You put a tourniquet on somebody to get them to a paramedic who then does something more to get them to a doctor. Like everyone is buying time to move people, to greater safety.
Yeah.
But in that metaphor there, if I ask somebody who just did that like 4-hour first aid course, like, and they're not trained to be a paramedic or they don't want to be a doctor.
There's normal people, yeah.
Yeah. And I said to them, hey, do you feel like you know how to put a tourniquet on? They go, yeah. Do you feel like you need to like save somebody's life tonight to validate your training? Yeah. They might go because that's not their profession. I fucking hope I never have to use this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where somebody who's like an 18 Delta, or somebody who's like in the fucking business might go, yeah, I can't wait to do my live tissue course, because they want to take it to that level.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to do a live tissue course.
No.
I'm not interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dig it?
Okay. Dig it, man.
Dude, so good to meet you.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing you. Take care.
Now we are actually going to, you stay there. We are going to sign off because this is 90 hours long.